I spent 26 years of my life in survival mode.
I spent 26 years of my life in survival mode, bro. Autopilot.
Climbing the corporate ladder in a job I hated, and I felt empty despite reaching all the goals I had and doing all the things everybody tells you to do. I didn't realize that my survival brain was blocking out my intuition and my creativity. So once I learned how to tap into that, everything changed. If you're tired of going through the loop, this video and these 3 steps are for you. The problem is what I see with most people is that the confusion they have about what they really want to do. They don't have a passion and they can't figure out what it is they want to put their energy into, right? Put their all into. And like myself, I've started so many things and dropped them again eventually. If I Because I was doing them for the wrong reasons, right? I've done a lot of things just for the money, and eventually, when money was there, enough money, and you felt safe, then I'm always then starting to think like, if I do this for another 5 years or 10 years, what will I become, right? And if I didn't like the conclusion that I came to, I either self-sabotaged somehow, right, or burnt my bridges, right? But it's always, I'm glad I did it, because otherwise I wouldn't be here right now talking to you, right? And it's what I'm supposed to be doing. It's my purpose. I need to share the things that I went through to get to this point where I can talk about it. So that's the thing. So there's no point in second guessing what I should have done, had to do, or there's no point in regretting anything, because otherwise it wouldn't have led me here to where I'm supposed to be. And this is what you feel when you're doing the thing you're supposed to do, right? Or when you're procrastinating, you're doing all the stuff. Like for these videos, thought I overthought about the scripts and the lighting, and oh yeah, I was going to turn off all the lights actually to make it a bit more dark mode, make it a bit more cozy. And I'm straight in now. I'm talking to you already, so it's like that's what I'm saying. It doesn't, not everything goes as planned, but you just have to keep going, keep progressing, and you feel when you're on the right track, right? And so I spent 26 years of my life in survival mode, autopilot, whatever you want to call it. I was lost. I was just, I was doing things I was supposed to, right? I had reached all my material goals, and I had the job I always wanted, basically, and I was making good money and 2 cars, nice apartment, all, like, but I was lost. I felt so empty. I was dreaming about the life I wanted to live, and even though I had reached all the goals that I had set myself, uh, I the new goals I was setting didn't align with the life I was living. It was like, how am I going to get from here to there, right? I did something extreme, which I don't recommend that everybody does, but it definitely was what I needed to do, right? And it was scary. I sold everything, quit my job, broke up with my girlfriend, and went to Asia backpacking. I didn't give a shit about all the material things that I had chased all these years once I had them, because then all of a sudden I wanted to travel and see the world. And I was traveling for my company at the time to China and Ireland, back to Ireland, like, which was amazing. But eventually it became routine, and I was only there for work. I wasn't seeing anything, right? Not experiencing any travel life. So I wanted to really go traveling long term. So I saved up some money, sold my cars, and anyway, but that was my idea of success at the time, is seeing the world, reading these travel blogs. And but that was also the version of the people of the book that I read. That was their way of doing it. My way doesn't have to be the same, right? We always find our own way. Anytime I was stuck somewhere and I didn't know how I'm gonna get out of this, there's always gonna be a way. You're gonna figure it out. And so I just really burned all my bridges, left off to Asia, and it's not like I just boom got there and I was like, oh, now I know what to do. No, it's like, oh geez, let's just go with the flow. And then money's running out, and you're like, what am I gonna do now? And it's like there's times where you have clarity, and it's cycles, right? And then you need to go through some struggle and figure it out again. Anyway, I'm drifting off again. My point is, my definition of success might not be your definition of success. So there's not one answer that I can give you that'll fix all your problems, right? But if you could feel it, like you're constantly overthinking and you can't kind of figure out what to do with your life, well, then keep watching this video. When you're a child and all your basic needs are met, you go through life and everything is new and interesting and you're happy as long, like I said, as long as you have shelter, food, people who love you around you, your basic needs are met. It doesn't matter like where, if you grow up in luxury or like people, you don't think like that as a kid. You just experience, and as you grow older and you start comparing yourself, and there's like all these status and puberty and you want to impress girls and all this, like then all of a sudden these kind of things also become important to you, right? Well, in your perspective anyway at the time. When I was 16, I became homeless. My parents left to a different country. I stayed there where I was, and I was by myself all of a sudden. And when you're homeless and on the street, basically you go back. And my highest idea of success at the time was my father, who before my parents divorced, um, when we were living in Ireland, we had a house, took multiple cars and a boat and a caravan. And so that was the highest my goal, like that's the highest I could set my goals at the time, right? So I went back to school, did my apprenticeship, was working as a construction mechanic, building machines, learning to be an engineer. And as long as I have a home and income, then I'm safe, right? So that was my focus. And then I had that and had a relationship, and I wanted holidays. Obviously, then like you're spending, when you're making money, then you can spend it, right? But it wasn't fulfilling me, and it wasn't turning me into the person that I felt like I wanted to be, that I when I was a kid, that I dreamt of that I would be like, and all these things I was gonna do. I wasn't doing them, right? And then basically when I was then 26, like once I had achieved all the goals and I was like kind of thinking like, now what am I gonna do with my life? The things I wanted to do didn't align with who I was. So I needed to change. That was the first time I needed to change was when I was 16. I needed to, from a boy, now figure out how to pay rent and become a person who functions in society, right? And so I did that, and then I figured out when I was 26, 10 years later, life is cycles. Anyway, it's wild. So yeah, and once I realized that I had aimed too low with my goals, my world started to crumble, right? You have to stop listening to other people. You have to find within what it is that excites you, right? When you get excited, enthusiastic about something, that's a very good indicator. Like enthusiasmus, I think in Latin means the language of God. Don't take that word for word, but look it up. It's something like that anyway. For me, God is the source, the creator of everything, right? It's an energy, it's a power. It's hard to put in words because our language is too primitive to put into words. But there is glimpses of it, and once you feel these, you can never go back. So that's why keep going, right? Where to start? That's the big question. How do I now change myself? So I had to, and my enthusiasm was towards travel. That was my indicator to go traveling, and maybe I'll become magically the person that can do all, like, but I don't know, maybe that's what happened. But to understand why hustling yourself out of the situation doesn't work, we have to understand the feminine and the masculine energy. Why hustling harder isn't working, you need to look at the two energies that we all carry. Masculine energy for survival, it's for logic, reasoning, physical action. And we need this basically to keep us safe. The masculine energy scans for threats, right? It keeps us alive. And then we have the feminine energy. That's our intuition. That's where our creativity comes from and where our intuition lies. And usually what men like to do is kind of force that down and not think about it when we get these thoughts. And we definitely don't like to talk about it because it's all woo-woo, right? So, but we have all these two energies. And I like being more in my masculine as well because I like hustling and not thinking too much, just doing, right? But then all of a sudden, 26 years are over and you're like, damn, where's the time gone, right? I wanted to already be this and this, and all I have is stuff to show for, right? So that's why we need to listen to this. It's our compass. And it might be scary, but that's what you want to tap into. And the more you listen to it, the more comfortable you get. And that's what we're trying to learn, right? Figure out ourselves and being able to listen to our own gut, like, right? Because most people stop listening to their gut and eventually it just stops even giving you signals. And the reality is you cannot logic your way into a life you haven't experienced yet or that your logic hasn't experienced yet, right? So to do that, you need to be able to tap into your intuition. So step one is realize you're safe. because survival mode is triggered by a lack of safety or a perceived lack of safety. And if your body thinks it's under attack, it shuts down creativity to save energy for the fight, okay? So if you feel like you're waking up with a heavy lump in your chest, like, right? Or if you obsess over to-do lists, just sit down, breathe, just relax for a minute, right? Just calm down and realize you're safe. Some people like maybe practicing meditation. What I like to do, go into the sauna, right? Because it helps me just get out of my mind and into my body. That's my way of doing it. But there's a lot of ways of doing it, right? You can also visualize, literally just visualize yourself taking off armor, putting down your weapons, and just telling yourself, hey, the fight is over. Whatever happened back then, it's not happening now. Whatever I'm worried about in the future, it's not happening yet, right? So realize you're in the present moment, that you're safe. There's no need to worry. Whatever you can do to shift from the mind into your body. And when the body feels safe, your intuition turns back on. Step 2, physically slow down. In everything you do, just try slow down. Rushing and fast movements, they trigger your nervous system, basically tell your body that you're being chased, okay? So that's why if you slow physically down, try to do everything as slow as possible. Literally talk a bit slower movements, and that signals your body that you're safe. There's a nice phrase called the slow down to speed up method, you know? Put some calming music on, you know, or no music at all, and maybe take a walk outside without a goal, just for the sake of going for a walk, you know? While you're walking, try to notice your feet touching the ground, touch some grass. If it's raining or the wind and the sun, try to really focus and feel these things, and it'll help as well. And why this works is slowing your physical body down gets you out of the critical thinking mind and more into your subconscious, where all the solutions actually lie. All the questions and answers that you're looking for, they're all within, they're already there. And as soon as you're doing something else and not focusing on it, you're like, oh geez, it hits you, like, you know? And that's why, because you just have to tap into that other energy. The more you actually listen to your intuition and your gut, the more you start trusting yourself and more following in it. And it's like a butterfly effect. That's why there is no video that can give you the solution or the answers you're looking for in just one half hour or 1 hour or whatever long. It doesn't work like that. It's a process and a journey, and nobody likes that. They're looking for the quick fix solution, but you know, stick with it, and I guarantee eventually, when it comes full circle, it'll all make sense. Step 3 is try to let go of control. Overthinking is the number one symptom of survival mode. Doing what needs to be done and constantly thinking about doing other stuff, but just not doing it, right? And that stresses you even more. But it's normal. We all do it. We think if we analyze the problem enough that we can prevent the pain, right? That's not how it works. Focus on what you can control. Try to release what you can't, okay? You can't force someone to love you, or the dream job to appear out of nowhere, or the how of your life, the one that you want to just manifest out of nowhere. It takes action. Claim what you can control. Focus entirely on your energy and on your current actions. And whatever your goals are, whatever you want to achieve, okay? Stop focusing on the end goal of it, right? And start focusing on what the kind of person you would be and what this person would do on a daily basis if he was already there. And just start there. Start doing those things. So let's recap. To get out of survival mode and into creator mode, you must first register safety in the present moment. Second, stop rushing to allow your brainwaves to settle. And third, stop forcing what you can't control and ground yourself in what you can. And remember, you have a limitless source of imagination and intuition just waiting for you. You just have to learn how to turn off survival mode and tap into it. So if this helped in any way, please like and subscribe. Definitely helps the channel, and I'll see you in the next one.